So my name is Sakesh Shetty from AJ Engineering College. Today we'll discuss about rock soil properties and affecting groundwater. Rock soil properties affecting groundwater. So, rock and soil properties affect. So module one chapter. Module one. The rocks and soil properties affecting groundwater. This in that what is the soil properties? First we'll discuss about aquifer. The rock soil properties implies those properties which facilitate storage and movement of groundwater. Can write here. Before going for this rock properties, we should know some terminology such as aquifer. 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 It has synonyms: groundwater reservoir, or or uh, or means underline. It means it's the same, or water bearing formation. Water bearing formation. Aquifer mean basically this aquifer, it is soil or rock formation layer wherein there is enough of wide spaces for the groundwater to get stored as well as to move. And here, because capability of the uh, storage as well as movement of groundwater within the aquifer, so this the aquifer, they're basically yield significant amount of groundwater to springs and wells. Simple reason is that there are lots of empty or white spaces in which the groundwater stored because of the hydraulic gradient. This groundwater always also starts moving from higher head to lower head wherever the slope or gradient. So the groundwater is starts moving, yeah, and eventually aquifers yield a significant amount of groundwater to various wells, which may be open well or tube well, or springs, or many small streams, and other uh, water bodies. So they originate, and these aquifers generally have a confining bed. Suppose this is an aquifer. Let me represent. This is an aquifer. This represents void spaces them, and then and here, then we have fully confined bed or partly confined bed, partly or semi confined bed. This could be fully confined bed, and this could be uh, this could be this is fully confined, fully confined, fully confined, semi confined, semi confined, semi confined, impervious. fully confined, it means semi impervious. This is semi pervious or confined bed. When it is semi pervious, then the semi pervious, the groundwater leaks in this, so that semi pervious confined layer. So this is the semi pervious, the water, groundwater leakage, we can say this one. This one is called groundwater leakage. And now, and let us also can let us also we know little bit about three more terminologies: aquifuge, aquitard, and then aquiclude. Here, aquiclude, aquitard, aquifuge, aquiclude, aquitard, and aquifuge. Three more terminologies. And so here, let us understand the meaning of this. We can remember the aqua exclude, it means water is excluded, that is exclude. Basically here, this is impervious, it is an impervious material. Impervious material, practically not yielding groundwater. That is impervious material, practically not yielding groundwater. Example, clay. Clay is a soil with finest particle size, therefore the amount of void spaces is very limited. So therefore clay behaves like an aquiclude. Next is aquitard, which is saturated. Can write it here. Saturated but less permeable. Less permeable stratum. Stratum which retards groundwater movement. Groundwater movement. Aquefuge. And here examples for this aquitard is sandy clay. Sandy clay. Example for the aquiclude is the clay, because clay is consists of finest soil particles with practically no void spaces, empty spaces. On the other hand, sandy clay, it will have some empty spaces, which to which the there is less permeability, and so it is saturated also. So therefore it retards and it yields limited quantity of groundwater. Next is aquefuge. This is a relatively impermeable relatively impermeable formation, relatively impermeable formation, relatively impermeable formation, not containing, not containing and not transmitting, not transmitting water. That is an aquefuge. Here we can give an example of hard rock such as granite, such as granite. That other hard rocks, so such as an example of granite. Okay, so therefore aquefuge. Now we learned about aquifer, which is basically water bearing strata, which can be interpreted as a groundwater reservoir, and also followed by the aquitard, which is essentially which retards the groundwater movement. Then it is the aquiclude, which practically impervious material not yielding groundwater, such as clay. And lastly, aquefuge, which is a hard rock. This clay will contain water, and this aquiclude will contain water. But aquefuge does not contain and does not transmit also water. So these are the four soil or rock formations. And out of this, our case, aquifer most important in case of groundwater hydrology, as well as aquitard. So this is we have to exploit, harness groundwater using aquifers, and we should ensure that these aquifers should have proper confining layer, either at bottom or sides, so that this groundwater store, it is not leaked to undesirable locations. Now the most important property of the rock or soil is known as porosity. This porosity denoted as alpha, volume of interspaces divided by total volume. Distinguish between the velocity using VH notation. Vi is the volume of voids, interstices, that is voids, and V is the total volume of soil or rock. So this porosity, it ranges from, say, 0 to 50%, and in case of aquefuge, so aquefuge porosity will be 0. In case of aquiclude, porosity will be very low. In case of aquitard, porosity will be even more, and aquifer will have the highest porosity. So here this porosity can also be expressed as 1 minus rho d divided by rho m. Rho d is the mineral particles density or grain density. Mineral particle and rho m. Next, so sorry. This rho m is the mineral particle density, and rho d is the bulk density. Rho d is the bulk density. So this porosity can also express that as 1 minus bulk density by divided by grain density. So this mineral particles density also known as grain density. Grain density depending on whether it is void spaces primary or secondary, so that so that can be, we can also define primary porosity and secondary porosity. Now let us come to this groundwater column. Let us come to groundwater column. Groundwater column. In this discuss about groundwater which exists at various depths right from the ground below. Here, so there is a very important interface. That interface is known as water table, the water table, and it is also known as piezometric surface, phreatic surface. Essentially, suppose this is the ground, and water table green denoted by WT. What water table is this is the groundwater table. This one is represents below the water table, and below which is soil or water is saturated, above which soil or rock layer partially saturated or unsaturated. That is water surface, and here accordingly this whole thing is known as a groundwater column. Suppose I represent this as a column, then this one I will make a proper line. If I suppose will make zone of saturation, and water table I will make here. Water table. Zone of aeration, this one. The soil column above the water table, known as soil column above the water table, zone of aeration. And other name also water present in this present in this is known as wood is may be present. This is called water source. Many times, fully dry. If it is fully dry or fully unsaturated, may not available water. So may be available. Soil or rock column below the water table. This is known as zone of saturation. Zone of aeration and zone of saturation. Water which is available there is known as groundwater. It's known as groundwater. And again, in this zone of aeration, three three zones. Zone of aeration, three zones. Top one is known as soil water zone, soil water zone, soil water zone, corresponding to here this corresponds to root zone depth, and bottom one is known as capillary zone, or also known as capillary fringe. Even though above the water table in this zone of aeration, due to capillary action taking place to the thin capillary tubes as well as slots, so some water rises up to the this top of the capillaries by action of capillarity due to surface tension of water. In between this soil water zone and capillary zone, what is known as intermediate 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 water zone. Intermediate water zone is below the soil water zone, and wherein we'll find the root depth plants, and above the capillary zone to the top of which we find the capillary rise of water. So essentially soil water zone, intermediate zone and water zone, capillary zone together constitutes, we call it as zone of aeration, which is above the water table. And here zone of saturation, at the bottom of this zone of saturation we have impermeable layer, and again zone of saturation may contain few impermeable layer or semi permeable layers within them. So accordingly it may contain one or more aquifers. So here aquifer which is just below the water table is known as the unconfined aquifers or water table aquifers. Aquifer which is bound at the top as well as bottom by the confining layers, it is known as confined aquifers. And here let me also represent how the water is held in this water zone. Suppose these are the soil particles. These are the soil or rock, soil or rock, soil or rock. rock, soil or rock, soil or rock. Suppose this is soil or rock particles. So in between, this is the air particles. This is the air particles, and here, due to attraction between the water and the roil or soil sock particles, so this water Vedus water, so which is held between soil or rock particles as well as air particles. Like this unsaturated zone, so there may be Vedus water. If it is uh, unsaturated, in the unsaturated zone or partially saturated zone, and coming to this capillary zone, so here obviously height of the capillary zone depends upon the capillary rise H given by 2 sigma cos theta divided by r gamma. This is r. Sigma is the surface tension of water, theta is the angle of content, and r is the radius of capillary tube, and gamma is the specific weight of water. So based on these 4 parameters, surface tension, and which is measured by force per unit length, and then theta's angle of contact, or radius of capillary tube. If it is slot, that case it is the semi width of the slot, as well as specific weight of water. So rest of this capillary rise, the height of the capillary rise can be determined, which determines the depth of the capillary rise, capillary zone, capillary fringe. So this is the will continue further related to this, and what detail we'll study after various zones. This is zone of aeration and zone of saturation with the soil is totally filled with air, that is called zone of aeration, and soil is filled with the water, that is called zone of saturation. So that below the water table we are considering zone of saturation, and above the water table we are considering zone of aeration. In that zone of aeration we divided through 3 types. One is intermediate zone is there, and capillary zone is there, and soil water zone. This 3 zone is there. So as I told, no, the capillary fringe will happen. That is a consideration. So this concept we're generally using for in soil layers. So this is a concept related to soil water zone, and next we'll discuss about this only, what is the types of covered and everything.